Dr. Banner, now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
Oh, hello. Welcome back, true believers. Got another episode of, you caught me again reading some old Superman. Welcome back to another episode of Comic Conversations. And without any further ado, bring my guest. He is in the comic industry. We'll have him talk about it when he comes on. You've probably seen him before. He was on McClaim Sale last week. Maybe we might be able to talk him back to come to the next one. I got a lot of G.I. Joe from him last week, but here he is, Justin Birch.
Hello.
Hey, I like the Nightwing shirt, by the way. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
All right. So how are you doing this evening? This fine evening.
I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. I can't complain. Just sorting through my comic books, trying to figure out. I already did a new box. I've got them. I'm surrounded by them again, so I'll have to get some more short boxes. The struggle is real, but I really appreciate you coming on here. I know you're you got it. Well, we'll try to wrap it up 10 minutes before 9 because I know you got to be somewhere. So if that's okay. All right. But I guess we'll start out. I was like, what started your love of comic books? What age did you decide to start getting into comic books and art and stuff like that?
I was born in 1983. So for me and a lot of people my age, it's X-Men the animated series, right? When that came out in 1992, I would have been 9 years old, and that was the perfect age for it was the perfect age to be at that time for that show, because I mean that show it blew my mind. I had no idea that there were superheroes out there that each had their own specific unique ability, their own powers, and that's what sort of drew me to it. And then I found out that it was based on a comic book, and I right then I wanted to learn more and know as much as I could. And from there, from X-Men, that was a great time because you also then shortly after got things like the Spider-Man animated series, Batman, the animated adventures. I'm even going to throw in things like Power Rangers, and for whatever reason, the Tick just popped into my head. So that was a great time to be a 9-10-year-old kid with access to those shows every Saturday morning.
Yeah, and well, there's also the big, all the hot artists at the time were getting hot around that time period. Like the Image was getting ready to form, and then even like I know this is a few years later, but that Spawn animated series really took it to another level. Like for me, I'm a couple years older than you. I was born in '76. But I was watching that too. X-Men animated series. I was probably a freshman in high school. I didn't tell nobody I was watching it, but I still watched it. I watched all that stuff, so I'm not gonna lie. And so I guess I don't know. So I remember that too. It's like X-Men. We didn't have a really animated show then, but like X-Men and G.I. Joe. That's was my big entry point. And Spider-Man and Superman. I had Superman bed sheets. I still got them somewhere. It was when I was 5 years old. So I guess my mom was like, she created a monster, didn't even know it yet. So the comic book. So now she's like, I still live with my mom because she's getting older, and she's like, all right, you need to get rid of some of these comic books. I'm like, I hate to tell her, I've probably only just begun getting back into it. So been about 3 years now. So but anyway, so when did you start? Like, 'cause I know you're an artist too. I know you do lettering, but I'm assuming you're an artist as well.
No.
Oh, you're not? Okay. Well, how did you get? Well, I had an interesting question. How did you get into lettering for comic books?
We'll back up 1 second.
Okay.
I did that thing that I think a lot of people do, where they like comics and they read comics in elementary school, and then they get to junior high and high school, and they realize that, in my case, I liked girls more than comics, and girls don't like comics, so I kind of put the comics on the shelf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it's a perfectly normal thing that I think a lot of us went through. So I got to college, and I realized that I don't really care what people think about me. And so like I started reading comics again when I was in college, and it's sort of been nonstop since then. Um, so how I became a letterer is my degree. My bachelor's degree is in graphic design, so that was my sort of foundation. And after I graduated from college, I got a job at a bank, doing the exact opposite, the furthest thing that you could be doing
Yeah,
from graphic design.
that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think that was just due to me being burnout, and uh, I mean I was 23, 22, 23, 24 or something.
Mhm.
Like around that age, you don't know what you're gonna do with yourself at that point.
No, it's not- yeah, I know.
So I started working at a bank, and I was there for probably seven years, and then I realized that it was just a job. Like this was not what I was supposed to do with the rest of my life. Like this
Yeah,
was not my career. This was just a job. And I started having I'd have a good day, and then I'd have a bad day, and then you'd have like a week of good days. And what I noticed was that the bad days were getting closer and closer,
no, yeah.
and it just wasn't an enjoyable work experience.
It's where you're
So
getting
I
up and dreading going to work every day. That's what it feels
yeah,
like.
yeah. And you're you sit at your desk, and you're just watching the clock, waiting for it to tick down. Um, so finally, I came home one day, and I sat down with my wife, and I was just like, I can't do this for another 35 years or whatever it is. And she said, okay, well, what makes you happy? And I said, comics make me happy. Um, and she said, okay, well, what can we do with that? And from there, it was like, well, you could do two things, right? You can either open a comic shop, and I wasn't about to do that because I like, to a fault, I feel very loyal to people, and I felt like opening a comic shop would be such an act of betrayal against my local comic shop,
Yeah,
that I couldn't do it. I just felt like I'd betray. I would be betraying them. So that was out. So the next thing is like, okay, well, if you're not going to open a comic shop, how about, what does it take to be a comic creator? And so I looked at every aspect of how a comic book is made, from writing, penciling, inking, coloring, being an editor. I went all the way down the list, and thought, all right, what would I be best at? What do I think that I would enjoy? And when I got to lettering, and I started reading about what letterers do, that was it. It's like the light bulb went off, right? Because my
oh yeah,
favorite classes in school, in college, were the typography classes. So it's like everything was lining up. Like I love the typography classes, the degree in graphic design, and being a letterer was all there. So once I figured out that I wanted to be a letterer, the next step was, well, how do you do that? Right? So some more research went into that. I found an online comics course called Comics Experience that teaches the entire comic book making process, um, all the way down. And I signed up for like a 6-week lettering course that was taught by a Marvel letterer. And once I took that 6-week course, I had like a portfolio of, I think it was only like 12 pages, but it was a portfolio of work that I took around to every convention within a 4 to 5 hour drive of my house every weekend, and just like walk down Artist Alley and talk to anybody who would talk to me. Like I networked like no other. It was exhausting. And I did that for about, I think, 2 years. It was rough because I didn't quit my day job. I was still working my
so you're
nine to
still
five.
like you're doing this on
Yeah,
your free time. So,
yeah. So towards the end, when I was doing both at the same time, what it would be is I'd go to work. I think I would work 8 to 4:30 at the bank. I would come home, I'd eat dinner, and then by 6 o'clock, I was at my desk working, lettering until maybe like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. There were definitely times when I would pull an all nighter or work till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and those were rough because I would still have to get up and go to the regular day job the next day. And I did that for about 2 years until finally it got to the point where I was like, all right, I feel comfortable enough to make this jump to go freelance full time. And luckily it worked out. And I've been freelance full time. Like I've been a letterer freelancing full as my full time job since 2017, I believe.
Oh, that's great though. Yeah, you know what's great though? You have to be like, especially in that. I'm assuming this is a lot of, I mean, I've never been in the industry, but I've watched a lot of videos from artists talking or interviewed like McFarlane or Jenny Frison, Scotty Young. They just stuck at it. Like, like Tom McFarlane got so many rejection letters, and he just kept sending material in. And when they told him, you need to do this better, he would just improve, and Scotty Young just showed up somewhere and started sitting around drawing somewhere just so people would see him drawing, at a convention. So you never know. So it's good that you stuck with it because, it can probably be kind of disheartening, I guess, after you get like showing people your work and they're not really saying, or giving any reaction to it or like anything positive. But,
yeah, I still remember. This was probably only like the second convention I ever went to showing off my portfolio. And one of the people that I showed it to, they said, like, I can't even look at this because the art is so bad. And I'm like, well, you're not supposed to look at the art. You're supposed to be looking at the letters. Like, I'm not an artist. I'm a letterer. Like, but to this day, I remember that. And it sort of fueled me and pushed me into being like, all right, well, I will take that and I will prove you wrong. And I like to think that I did.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep going back to Todd McFarlane because I'm just a fanboy, but it reminds me of like when they formed Image and they told Marvel, we're out of here. They stopped the door, the elevator. It was like the editor in chief said, if it doesn't work out, you guys can come back. And they closed it, then the elevator shut, and he looked at Jim Lee and said, this guy doesn't think we can fucking do it. So, but that probably fueled him more. Like when they say it to you, you're like, well, I'll show you. I'll show you. We have a question from Jeff out here. It says, when you letter a book, do you lay your work flat or horizontal, like or tilted, like a drafting table, or you do it just on a regular table?
So I only work digitally, so I'm not working traditionally with a pen and ink at all. I do work on a Cintiq, like a drawing tablet, and I keep it like this so that I'm not like looking down.
Well, then your neck's going to be in bad shape.
Yeah, I look straight ahead, and usually my arm is planted like this, so that I'm just yeah.
Now I'm assuming also that back in the day you had to, I guess there was a different process like in the 80s and 70s for doing that. Mm-hmm. But I'm assuming they probably send you a file, I'm guessing, and you probably don't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I normally get the script and like a Word document, and then I'll either get the inks or the colors to work on. It just depends on the publisher. It varies from publisher to publisher. Like a lot of time, like DC will only, I will only letter on inks. If it's DC, if it's Boom, it's inks, and then they will eventually send you the colors. So it depends. If a book's really behind on schedule, there have been times when I've just lettered on rough pencils.
Oh, really?
Just sort of the roughs that the artist just sort of did real quick just to lay out the page.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Thomas had a question for you too. Letter.
This is going to sound like a Homer answer, but I'm going to say it anyway. So I'm part of a lettering studio. Mm-hmm. So it's me, and I think there's probably like 5 or 6 other letterers that are all sort of under this umbrella. And definitely one of my favorite letterers is the head of the studio. So he's my boss, and that's why this is a homer answer. His name is Darren Bennett. The name of the lettering studio is Ann World Design. But there are other letterers out there that I really love watching, or not watching, but reading their work. Russ Wooten is one of them. I can't say enough great things about Russ's work. You would know it if you're reading Transformers, like anything from the Energon universe is him.
Yeah, I read all that. So that's him. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he lettered all of the Walking Dead. Like he is Image's go-to letterer.
Okay.
So he's one I love. I love reading their work. I love seeing Tom Napolitano's sound effects. I think his sound effects are I believe he is the best in the game right now at creating sound effects.
Cool. And you know, like I think it was Jeff said earlier, it was like about you're kind of like, you know, letters are unsung heroes. It's kind of true though. Like the letter and the inker, they don't get a lot of like love a lot of the time, but like an inker and a letter, they can make or break a book, because if you can't read the lettering, like I've seen books where like it kind of blends into the background a little bit. Like I was reading last year, unfortunately, it was I was reading Blood Hunt. You know, they suckered me into that, and like a lot of it was like red, but it was like the background was red too, even though like the bubble was like, and it was like, I guess where I'm old, I don't know, I was old or something, I just can't read it, you know, but it's just like, to me, that, you know, I struggle with a little bit, but on some of them, but like, and especially, I don't know, I guess it's like for the younger kids in the 70s, when I'm reading like an old back issue like this, I have to struggle. Like, I mean, it's called getting old, I know, but I can read the newer ones easier. I don't know why, but that's like Marvel seemed to have a real tiny font. In the Bronze Age. It's
when it's mixed case, it's harder for me to read. So when it's, you know, upper and lowercase, which is a trademark of all Jonathan Hickman books. Like it must be some sort of directive from Hickman that it be upper and lowercase, which just it makes it a little bit harder to read on those of us who have old eyes.
Yeah. I like his quote here, Ed Piscor. He's quoting Ed Piscor. He says, "If you want to fuck up a great book, hire a shitty letter."
I have a writer friend who he's just like, you know, I don't understand people who like they're like indie creators who are making the comic in their basement, and they've spent money on an artist and an inker and a colorer, but when it comes to lettering, they're like, I'll just do it myself. Yeah. And my friend is like, I don't understand that, because traditionally, like, letterers are the cheapest part of the process. Like, why not just shell out that little bit of extra money to get yourself like a good quality looking product? Why why are you going to skimp and save on just that part?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm sure some of the guys want to know is like in the chat, and whoever's going to watch on the replay, like some of the books. I know some of them, but I'll let you talk about it. I don't really want to, you know, get into it, but you can tell us some of them. I know a couple of them.
Like books that I've worked on? Yeah. Okay, so I've worked on I lettered the entire run of House of Slaughter, so all 30 issues of that. I'm lettering Something is Killing the Children. Basically, if it's a Slaughterverse book, there's a 99% chance that I'm lettering it.
Okay.
I'm also lettering Nice House by the Sea, right? That's volume 2, because the first one was by the lake. Okay, yeah, Nice House by the Sea. I'm lettering. I've lettered a lot of Milestone stuff, so like Static and Icon vs. Hardware and Blood Syndicate, and there was another one, Shadow Cabinet, I think is the most recent one that just came out. And then for like smaller indie publishers like Mad Cave Studios, I've lettered Nottingham and Crush Depth, and
I read Nottingham. That's pretty good. It's like a noir, like Robin Hood thing, right? I think it's the one.
Yeah. What was the Dark Empty Void? I think is coming out now as well. So that's another one that I've lettered. It's sort of I'm all over the place as far as what I letter. Like there might be one day where I'm working on Something Is Killing the Children, an adult horror book, and then later on that day I might be working on revisions for the Smurfs. Like it varies from all ages kids books to creator owned horror books. Like it's everywhere in between as far as
I guess the key is you don't want to get the dialogue from Something's Killing the Children mixed up with the Smurfs.
And if you do, you hope that your editor is paying attention.
Yeah. I guess I don't assume that's ever happened, but I thought it'd be kind of funny if I could see like Erica Slaughter's words like we're Smurfette or something. That would be kind of funny.
Yeah, where she's like, I smurf and hate this or something.
Yeah. Like, why is Erica Slaughter saying I smurf and hate this? I don't understand. So what were some when you got into collecting comics? Like I know you're a collector as well because I've seen you on Only Slabs. What did you first start out collecting? Like, I guess I'm assuming X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, the Family X-Men, and all that. But what else?
Yeah, so I'm the worst type of collector. I'm a full run collector. So once I start a series, like I gotta finish it.
Same way,
right?
Same way. I'm the same way.
So the first series that I was like, all right, this is it. I'm going to put a full run of this together. Was that Jim Lee X-Men series? So from like issue 1 to I think when I started collecting comics again, they were up to like 207 somewhere around there, and then it switched to X-Men Legacy. So that whole thing is what I put together first. And then after that, I did easier stuff like New Mutants and X Factor.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm at a point now where we're gonna put together a full Uncanny X-Men run. So my collecting was X-Men focused or mutant focused, and every once in a while we would get some Amazing Spider-Man in there to break it up as well.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of do that. Like I try to turn it into little like mini tasks. So like with like there's some I know that I'll probably never be able to afford, like some of the old ASM. But like now I'm kind of focusing on like the McFarlane era and the Eric Larson era because I know I can probably afford some of them a little bit more than I could ASM 1. But like the one I'm focused on now is like, and I'm like you too. Like I'll get like 15 books. I'll end up and I'll be like, oh, I got like 20 issues of the Defenders. Well, I guess I'm going to have to get the rest of them, or like I did that with the Marvel 2-in-1 and team ups now. And then I'm all ready, but I'm trying to keep those on the back where those are like a passive collecting thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm really focusing in on like, which is going to be a hard one too, is it's Captain America. From the Silver Age up, when they started back at 100. And then somebody threw a monkey wrench into my plan and said, hey, are you going to get all this Tales of Suspense too, or whatever? I can't remember. I'm like, no, I can't afford that right now. Maybe later, But like, where are you high? And then I'm doing the Uncanny X-Men, but I put a caveat on it. I'm trying to get like, I may try to go in one of these days, try to get giant size one, but like all the way up to like 100 up to like. When it got to 300, that's why I went in because that's when I kind of quit collecting for a while. It was about issue 300. When I don't know, it just didn't seem. I don't know how you felt about it, but it didn't seem like Claremont. It wasn't the same after he left because they had him overworked anyway. And he's like, guys, you got like 10 mutant books, So and then of course I'm trying to collect the G.I. Joe one, but I'm making this about me, so I'll shut the heck up. See, I told my mom I would try not to curse as much on YouTube, but look at it. So what do you love about comics? That's a good question.
Oh, so I love how totally customizable, and I'm talking from the collecting standpoint, I love how totally customizable it is. So if you want to collect just artists, you can. If you want to collect just a certain specific series, you can. If you just want to do writers, you can do that. Like
Yeah.
it's whatever you want it to be. And I think it's one of the most customizable, one of the most fluid hobbies out there. Like I've talked to, I have one of my best friends is a coin collector, and like he tells me that he tries to get these certain sets from a certain year or something, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, shut up, nerd. Like that is dumb. Like don't talk to me
I
about
know.
this. So yeah, like I love that it can be whatever you want it to be, and that can even go from like the type of like the condition that of the books that you get. Like if you don't care that a book is got a torn cover, uh, that's great. If you don't like graded books because then you can't read them, that's great too. Like whatever you like about it is great, and I think that's the best
Yeah.
part about collecting comics.
Yeah, I do that too with the art. Like I'll have like artists, like I kind of like if I see like the scroll of McFarlane on it, or like George Perez's signature or John Byrne, I'm probably going to pick it up, especially back in the day. And I'm kind of doing that with some newer artists too, like Jenny Frison, people like that, and Mark Spears. We got another question here. I guess it says when you letter, are you allowed to manipulate the word balloons like extra thick lines for a booming voice, or a squiggly word bubble for a eerie feel?
So it depends on the publisher and the editor. A lot of times, if a writer wants something specific like that, they will, sort of leave a note in the script. Other times, if someone just, let's say they just got knocked out in the art, and they're unconscious and they're coming to, if it doesn't say that in the script, I'll purposely give them like like a squiggly balloon to make it seem like they're just regaining consciousness. Um, and very rarely when you do that, do I get any sort of pushback from editors telling me, hey, what we wanted was a regular balloon here. So
Yeah,
I like to think that they trust me enough to know, um, they trust me enough that if I could go with my gut. And besides, if I do something they don't like, we could always redo it in revisions.
hmm
It's not set in stone. I mean, there are times when I've given someone a normal balloon, and the note I get back from editorial is, "Hey, can you change it to this?" So it's sort of it's a give and take, I guess, is the best way to do it. It's not even a give and take.
yeah.
It,
Do they?
it's it's
Do you also do like the trade dress lettering sometimes, or do they leave it to a graphic designer or what?
That's usually the publisher's production team. They're the ones who will
Okay,
place the trade dress on the front
okay,
cover. I try to avoid logo design at all costs,
okay.
just because I don't feel like I'm very good at it, and
Oh, okay.
I don't want to spend my time working on something that I don't think that I'm good at. Like I'd rather focus on what I know I'm good at and that I can do efficiently and quickly, and
Yeah.
get paid for it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know why I thought of that, but okay. Let's see. So let's see where I've got here. I have like these questions just in case I forget where I'm at or something.
You're fine.
So what other characters you collect? I know you said X-Men, but I know you
Hmm.
collect like Donald Duck and
Yeah.
Duck books too. I know you got an extensive collection because we're on Only Slabs, and like the whole episode you showed, I think almost all, or was it all Duck books? I thought that was
Oh
cool,
yeah,
and that was
yeah.
my friend Random. That was Random Reed's wet dream, by the way. He loved that episode.
So anytime I go on Only Slabs, I like to have a theme. So like the first time I went on, back when it was Slab Hub, back in its previous version,
Yeah,
I uh I I only showed X-Men books. Like I only showed Uncanny X-Men. And like the second time I went on, I think it was Spider-Man books. And then this third time I went on, it was just Duck books. So uh, like a couple of years ago, probably like 2 years ago, I went to Heroes Con. I think this was 2023. I went to Heroes Con and I bought an Amazing Fantasy 15, and I got it, and I was just like, okay, now what do I do? Like I felt like I reached the top of the mountain. I had no idea what I was supposed to do collecting wise after that. And the only thing I can compare it to is I'm assuming that this is the exact same feeling that Neil Armstrong had when he got back from the moon, where he was just like, what do I do with myself now? Right?
Yeah. Well, you see it in the video, like when they come back, the press conference, they all look like they're really depressed. Like there's no other mountain to conquer now, you know?
Mm-hmm. So I probably went a good solid 6 months, just sort of like picking up a book here or there, but nothing brought me joy. I was just going through the motions. And then I found randomly I found a Donald Duck cover, and I was like, that's kind of funny. And I was like, wow, that's the first time I have felt any sort of emotion towards a comic book in a while. So I started just looking it up, researching, looking at all the different covers. And what I discovered was that I was having more fun hunting these books down at conventions because they're a lot harder to find. Like you can go to a convention and you can find your Uncanny X-Men or your Amazing Spider-Man, and they're always going to be there. But finding those Duck books it's harder, and so when you do find them, it's a lot more gratifying. It's the reward.
It's hard to find them. It's even harder to find them in good condition, isn't it? I assume because they were little children usually collected them back in the day. So yeah, we had another question here from my friend Pilsner Prop. She said, how many revisions before print run usually happen?
It depends. It varies. I think the standard thought is the publisher will get 3 proofs from me. So the initial proof, I get notes back. I send the next proof, and then I'll get sort of like very minimal notes on that second one, and then I send a third one to be approved, and then that's usually the process.
Okay.
And unless sometimes it's way more than that. Like you'll have usually you have some indie creators. This is their baby, right? And they just can't help tweaking it until you just at some point you just need to let it go. You just need to put your baby out into the world, right? Like you can't. You just got to cut that cord.
I'm sure you don't really find that a lot of DC or Marvel a lot. You know, they're not going to probably push
back
too much, you know.
Not on that one. Not with those.
They got other things to worry about. Although I don't know what they worry about there now, to be honest with you. But anyway,
probably deadlines. My guess is deadlines.
Deadlines. I don't know. I just okay. I guess I was going to ask you, do you collect anything else besides comics or anything? We got the statues behind you at SE.
Yeah, I used to. If you go back and watch, I'd say videos from like 2 years ago, you'll see giant glass cases behind me filled with action figures. I've sold off 90% of my action figures and my Hot Toys. I use that money to pay for the AF-15. So I've scaled back what I collect. So what I'm actively collecting now are just some Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z figures, the Mondo X-Men figures. I like to collect video games. I love playing video games.
I do too. I love retro stuff.
Yeah. And then I will pick up the X-Men statues every once in a while. That's so nothing crazy. I heard Lady F talking about me last week. I do collect Lorcana the Disney trading card game.
Mm-hmm.
So I collect and play that, although I haven't really bought any new cards in a while. So yeah, I've really over the past probably 2 or 3 years really tried to nail down my collecting habits to just purely comics, and I include hardcovers as part of that as
Yeah.
well.
Well, I hate to admit it, but much to my chagrin, I've started getting into collecting these little bastards. So you know how that's going to go, right?
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Feel sorry, bro. R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to my bank account. Yeah. Well, I like what they said here is when is a piece of art ever completed? Yeah. You know, that's funny. My mom, I don't know. Justin, you probably been on a stream. My mom showed them her paintings. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. And she got, you know, she's old paintings and she did this one of like a mountain lion. And it looked, everybody's like, oh, that's great. Oh, you got it done. She's like, no. She's like, no, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. See, I got to add these details in this. You know, it's stuff only an artist will think of that I see. I'm looking if I can draw stick figures. Like I used to try to get into it, but I was always good at like the only thing I was good at was like drawing the logo, like you know the Superman logo or something. And all I was doing was really copied. I just like to put that in my notebooks. You know, you see like the Transformers or G.I. Joe logo with the star, you know, and the stars and stripes thing. Yeah, I was good at that, but like when I did draw, when I did try to draw, I would try to draw like they would just have like straight hips, you know, like the women wouldn't have no hips. The men all look the same. It was kind of bad. But okay. What have you got? What have you picked up here? Have you picked anything up lately, or?
Yeah, there. I have been picking some stuff up lately. I don't want to say what it is because I feel like it'll tip my hand as to what I'm looking for at Heroes Con.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
And I'm
I
not
know what you mean because that's less competition for you.
That, and I really like getting a book and it not being what people expect, and then just walking up and showing it to them, and then seeing their mouth drop. Like no one expected me to pick up an Amazing Fantasy 15 2 years ago. They thought everyone thought I was there to get an Amazing Spider-Man #1. So when I got it, and I just walked up to everybody and just pulled it out and showed it to them, that like I could see all of their mouths drop. So I've sort of become addicted to that feeling.
Oh yeah. I got too big a mouth. I've told everybody to listen from a mountaintop. I'm gonna go get G.I. Joe #1.
Yeah, I don't want to say because then I also feel committed to doing it, right? Like I might not be able to find a copy of this book there, and then
like, bro, what happened? Why didn't you get that book? You said you were going to get it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, and you will be there this year. I'm sure I'll run into you at some point there.
Yeah, I've been going every year since 2015, I think.
I hear it's a great convention, like for comic books. If like
sure,
if you're not there to meet celebrities and get photo ops and stuff like that, it's and that's what I want. I just want like a straight up, you know, comic book show. I don't really go after photographs of actors. I mean, I don't know how to get a couple of signatures, but some of the people I would like signatures from, they're not going to any of these conventions, like you know Clint Eastwood or you know Robert Downey Jr. Really, I don't think he does a lot of signings because he probably doesn't have to. But anyway, yeah. So I'm a little excited about it. It's my first one, so you know I hope everybody you know shows me the ropes, you know, because I'm gonna try not to do too much, like you know, like oh, just go too crazy. But I'm trying to focus on certain books, you know, not just like buy everything.
My biggest piece of advice for you is I don't know what day you're getting there. If you're getting there on Thursday, and you're getting there early enough to go over and pick up your badge and ticket to get in, my biggest piece of advice for you is once you pick up your ticket and your badge, you go over to the windows that overlook the show floor so that you can get a sort of feel and scope for how big it is. Otherwise, when you hit that show floor first thing Friday morning or Saturday morning or whenever it is, it could be a bit overwhelming.
Okay.
You can sort of you could get in there and you could just be like, oh, where do I go? What do I do? Like, I don't know which
Yeah, yeah.
direction. Like, there's so many, like, it's like a sensory overload, right? Like, you just see so
Oh
many
yeah, yeah,
walls of comics that you don't know where to start or what direction to go.
yeah. Well, I'm trying to work up a game plan. Like some people are telling me, like for some of the signatures I want to get to try to do most of that as much as I can Friday
Hmm.
because there'll be more people there Saturday waiting in line. He said there
Oh,
will be longer,
absolutely.
but yeah. The only mistake I made, the error I made was when I booked the hotel. I wasn't thinking, and I booked it for Friday instead of Thursday.
Hmm.
So I'm going to have to go down on Thursday and get in a cheaper, like a Motel 6 or something for the night, and then get up. But I'm thinking what I should do. I don't know what you think, but I'm sure I can still go to the Westin on Thursday when we get into Charlotte, and probably get my badges there that day. So I'll have them set for Friday. I assume I can do that.
Like, so what you're saying is when you hit Charlotte Thursday, just go straight to the convention center and pick up
Yeah.
your stuff. Yeah, you could do that.
All right. I think that's probably the best thing to do because then I won't be waiting in the line. Then I'll have to go after that line and wait in another line.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm real excited about it though. I'm trying. I got people going, no, you're going to go there and don't spend too much money. I'm like, I'm sorry. Whatever I'm saving is I'll save it up to get back on gas, but it's getting gone. I got, especially like, the thing that kills me about it is like, they keep adding people and they're probably going to continue to add people for the next month.
Hmm.
And I'm like, God, they need to quit adding people because then they said, oh, it was 2 weeks ago. They're like, hey, did you hear Adam Hughes and, Art Adams are going to be there now? And I'm like, shit, that means I have to get, now I'm looking for books for them to sign. So
Yeah, it's what I don't know if there's any. I don't know if I'm going to get any signatures this year or not. I don't think there's anyone there that I really want to wait in
yeah,
line for.
yeah. And you probably got some of their signatures anyway. I'm sure you got a
Yeah,
few of
the only person I don't have a signature from that I would like is John Romita Jr., but I don't know if I'm going to wait in line for it. I would rather just wait until he does a private signing with CGC and just send the book in then.
I have an uncanny sign by him that I would give you, but it look like somebody spilled a drink on it, unfortunately.
Well, I appreciate the thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he might be the only one. I can't. I don't know. Like I should probably look at the guest list again.
Well, I'll show you the one I had one in mind for him to sign with Claremont, and it was this one. I was wanting to get them both to sign this one,
Mm-hmm.
and because I've never met any of these guys, because I've not really been going to conventions or anything. It's hard for me to get out because I'm not wheelchair bound, but if I want to get around a big convention floor where I have muscular dystrophy, I have to have some kind of electric wheelchair or some kind of thing because I can't walk that far. So that's another reason I'm not bin diving. I have like a list of about 5 or 6 books that I'm looking for personally that I know that I could probably find there easier than I can. And I don't really want to buy these books. The expensive books, I get nervous buying on eBay and whatnot because the auction starts so fast and ends in like 30 seconds. They never show you the condition. You know how they are. They're like, oh, here it is. Look how that condition is, and then that's it. Or some of them don't even do that. Or they'll put them in a nice Mylar bag and it'll look like it looks better than it does because Mylar is like the HD TV of bags and boards,
Mylar magic.
Yeah, the Mylar magic. I'm sure I don't like doing that when I sold, but like I just like look. This is what it is. If you don't, but you see my claim sale. I have like $2 and $3 books, so it's not like unless it's. I will say if it's a higher price, I will show the condition. But if it's like $3, I'm not showing. I've heard people say, "Let me look at it." I'm like, dude, it's $2. You want it or not?
Yeah.
But like a lot of my stuff's low grade, but it's still. I don't care. I had something else I was going to ask you, but it slipped my mind. But anyway, I appreciate you coming on here. If there's you got any more questions, guys? Because I think he's got to get out of here in about 6 or 7 minutes or something. I think so.
Yeah, I have to. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I gotta get them ready for bed.
Hey, I understand. That's cool, man. I understand. You know that you got to do that. You got to do that first. I'm trying to think if there's something else. Oh, are you going to the? Well, this is it ended up just being questions about Heroes Con, but
No, that's
so
fine. Like I
I
like to
apologize
consider
for that.
myself. No, you're fine. Like I like to consider myself like a Heroes Con vet, right? Like I've
Okay.
done it enough times that I'm more than willing to answer questions that people have about it,
Yeah.
and how I do things, and sort of yeah. Like I use me as a resource is what I'm saying. Like
Okay.
please, I can answer questions.
Well, do you have any advice for somebody in a wheelchair waiting in line? Because what I'm worried about is, do they have the you know how they used to have the roped off lines and you have to go like a maze through it? Because I don't think my chair can fit through that.
The only time I've ever seen a wait for someone like that at Heroes Con was when it was Stanley.
Oh yeah.
Uh, the way it works is that usually the bigger name people are at the like on an end cap
Yeah.
at the end of an artist alley aisle, and so you'll just sort of line up in that main walkway, like next to their
Oh,
table,
okay.
until it's your turn, and then you can go up and have them sign your stuff.
There's a couple of them I'm dreading going to because I know it's going to be a bad line. Like I have a Scotty Young Captain America I want signed, and I know he's going to have probably one of the biggest lines there.
Hmm.
And then I got like two or three I wanted Jenny Prison to sign, but I'm concerned about the Claremont and JRJR. I may try to do that one first because I'm sure that Claremont's probably going to have kind of a line, and
Hmm.
I'm also concerned about the Danny Warren Johnson line, but I have like 5 books I want him to sign. He's like my favorite. Like when I started getting back into comics, and it was the perfect time for my age. I'm 48. So, you know, I grew up with the Generation 1 Transformers and
Hmm.
the G.I. Joe 3¼ inch, right from the rip, and He-Man. So, and then when he started doing all like, you got this Transformers, G.I. Joe, we're going to put it all together and it's going to be a connected story. I was like, here, just take my wallet. Here, you can just take what you need out. Take my card. I'll give you the PIN number. And so it was a great, and I don't know. I got a question for you. Do you have a problem like, okay, I don't know that you read new comics, but when you did read new comics, if was it hard for you? Because it's hard for me. If there's like if there's a comic book and it's on like issue 48, I kind of avoid picking it up because then I'll have to go back and get 1 through 47 to know what the hell's going on. So I'll wait till like a new one starts and I'll get like the number 1.
Uh, I think it just depends. Like at some point when I started collecting again, I think my pools were at one time my pools were only 4 books. It was Amazing Spider-Man, Uncanny X-Men, the Jim Lee X-Men. I think it was X-Men Legacy at the time, and then New Avengers. And
Mm-hmm.
like all of those, like didn't really have jumping on points. So what I would do is I would just pick up what was there. I would read it, and then if I needed to find a backstory or history or figure out what was going on or what it was referencing,
Yeah.
I would I would read Wikipedia, the Wikipedia page for it. That was a great way for me to kill time when I was working at
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
bank.
Well, you know, also you can get them like stuff digitally. Like I did read. I have been trying to read Something's Killing the Children like digitally, but I didn't really catch on to what it was until people were telling me, "Oh, you need to read this," and like,
Hmm.
and now it's on I think like issue 40 or 41 or something, I guess. And
Yes, I just turned in 42 a week or two ago.
okay, but I mean, I really like the concept of this story where there's like these monsters out there attacking children, and she's going around defending these children. It's just really cool. It's got that horror feel to it, and I, but I can't bring myself to like. I guess I could get the trades. That's what I should do.
Yeah,
Just get the trades, you know.
yeah.
But I mean, I really like the writer and everything, and I've read Department of Truth. Like I read like most of it, and like I think it's Tinian, right? Is it
Hmm.
Tinian? It's okay, yeah. So I really like his work a lot. He's like, if I see him, he's one of those guys. Like if I see him or Jeff Johns is the writer on a book, or you know somebody like that, I'm like, yeah, I think I'll pick that up. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot. You know, or Jason Aaron. Jason Aaron the same way. When I
Hmm.
saw that Jason Aaron was writing Bug Wars, I said, well, that might not be too bad. And I ended up reading it. It's really pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of I don't know if you remember that series from DC back in the day called The Sword of Adam, when the Adam was like fighting bugs in the backyard, basically. So that's what this kid's doing in it. But anyway, I really want to thank you for coming out. Before we go, I want to tell everybody what we got going on the show. But I'd like to thank Justin for being here, taking time out of his busy day. I'm sure he's probably got better things to do than talk to my ass. But anyway,
I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on. So I thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome back anytime. We do a hangout stream on Thursdays. You're welcome there anytime too. Now tomorrow, Thursday night or Thursday midday, it's going to be noon Eastern. I do movies on here too, so we're going to be doing another episode of the second episode of Good Cinema, me and Madam. And if anybody else wants to come on, you just send me a message and I'll send you a link. We're going to be reviewing Jaws since summer's coming up. So this is I think, Justin, this will be considered the first Hollywood blockbuster. You know what I'm saying? Summer blockbuster. And then the next one, and then that same evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing the Comic Lounge. That's a hangout show. Everybody's welcome. And of course, Friday at 7 p.m. And maybe Justin will be there. I don't know. We'll find out. He might not be able to, but we're
not this week.
Okay, not this week, but we have a revolving cast of people that are doing claim sales, like me and Flat Earth Santa and Justin. Sometimes there, you never know who's going to show up. So we got that. Although I can't load this thumbnail, unfortunately, because it won't take that format in StreamYard. Thanks, StreamYard. And then Monday we'll have the Bad Cinema will be reviewing Night of the Comet, the 1984 cult film. So everybody, thanks for showing up. Thanks for all your questions to Justin. Justin, thank you again. And okay, yeah, there you go. So thanking you in the chat. So I guess that's it for now, guys. So until next time, true believers.
Come, son of Jarrell! Kneel before Zod! Snoochie boochies.